Welcome monsters. Today in this video we are going to analyze that what would have happened if Tenma didn't save Johan, what would have its effect on Tenma's life and his mental health, what are things that could have been prevented, and trust me, after watching this video you will start appreciating Monster more than before, because at this point I have made 5 anime what ifs and in almost all of them the what if scenario creates either a perfectly good or perfectly disadvantageous situation, but in the what if analyses of Monster no side is perfect, both the situations of Monster has its pros and cons, and this video is going to be way longer than my usual what if videos. I don't think that if Tenma didn't save Johan then all the deaths and massacres wouldn't have taken place and Tenma would have lived his life comfortably. This is not as simple as you think, there are lots of things you guys don't know, and to clear all those misinformation, I have made this video. First of all we need to look through everything that happened after Tenma saved Johan. The first thing that happened after Johan was saved is he received tons of criticism and hate. The respect he gained after saving so many patients broke down within one day. His position of chief cranial nerve surgeon was taken away. His fiancée left him, he became traumatized. For few days he literally became a maniac himself, which led him to share his feelings with Johan, which eventually led to the death of Dr. Boyer, Dr. Oppenheim and Dr. Heinemann. They were poisoned by Johan after Johan heard Tenma say that they don't deserve to exist. Although the death of the money-hungry trio actually helped Tenma as he was promoted to the head of surgical department, there is another thing he found out, the truth of his gold digger fiancée. After the death of those three, Tenma actually lived a quite happy life. He kept operating and saving patients, kept receiving love, he had no regrets. He mentioned that saving Johan helped him understand what it meant to be a doctor. He understood that all lives are equal and everyone deserves to be saved. At this point saving Johan actually made his life better than before, but the thing that started all the chaos was Johan himself. He left the hospital with his sister, he left his sister and became a monster. He killed each and every of his foster parents. Then the thing which started to make Tenma realize that he made a mistake was the death of Adolf Junkers right in front of his eyes by the hands of Johan. The scene created a spiral of all this tension. He became a prime suspect in the middle-aged couple murder case. Things got so worse that he literally became criminal on the run. 𝗏𝗃 kept chasing him like a cat behind a mouse, and not just himself but 𝗏𝗃 had to suffer a lot due to all this. Her parents were killed, she saw so many people die, she was always stuck in the haunted house of her memories. So many people died, fan favorite characters like 𝗏𝗏, Martin and Richard also died, and we can't forget the massacre of Roenheim. So many people were traumatized, so many people were killed, there was a blood rain in the city. But there is a plot twist here. Saving Johan not just resulted in killing of so many people, it also resulted in many positive sides as well. Saving Johan made Tenma realize that all lives are equal. If he operated on Meyer instead of Johan he would have never got to understand this important lesson. Also we should not forget that if Tenma didn't save Johan then 𝗏𝗃 would have never got rid of the abusive Hartmann. Due to this series of events Tenma got to know that baby and the neo-Nazis are about to burn down the Turkish district in Frankfurt. Just imagine how many people would have lost their lives and homes. Talking about side characters, 𝗏𝗏 would have never felt any emotion which he always wanted to. Martin would never learn that no one wants to die. Karl and Schuwald wouldn't have met. And finally, Wim would have become a bully due to his surroundings and his drunken dad. Just like I mentioned earlier in the video, doesn't matter whether Tenma saves Johan or not, there are pros and cons of each situation. Now we have learned that what are the things that happened after Johan was saved by Tenma. Now let's understand that what would have happened if Tenma didn't save Johan. First of all, the mayor would have been saved and he wouldn't have lost his position of chief cranial nerve surgeon. Although the money-hungry trio would have received all the credits, Tenma would have still been a respected doctor in the hospital. His fiancée wouldn't have broke up with him and they could have got married later. Earlier in the video we saw that after the death of the money-hungry trio Tenma was promoted to the head of surgical department. After saving the mayor he could have been given a higher or somewhat close position. Johan would have died but maybe 𝗏𝗃 would have been taken for adoption by any family. There are chances that General Wolf would have come for 𝗏𝗃. Tenma would have never got involved with the 𝗏𝗏 murder case, and most importantly, he wouldn't have to become a criminal on the run. But there are some negative sides of this as well. Baby would have burned down the Turkish district. Kindheim 511 experiment would have forever remained a secret. Karl wouldn't have been reunited with his father. 𝗏𝗏 wouldn't have died but he wouldn't have felt any emotions either. Wim would have become a bully but the massacre could have been prevented. But there is a point which I saved for this moment. Not saving Johan may have prevented tons of personal problems for Tenma, but there is something that could have potentially ruined his career. Not saving Johan would have left a deep wound in his mind as it would have been second time when he saved a guy with higher influence than someone who actually deserved to be saved. It would have depressed him. Not being able to save a young boy who had his whole life in front of him just because he didn't had a high political position would have completely broken Tenma, which could have led to a decline in his performance. Although he was a mentally strong guy, not being able to save 2 innocents in 2 days would have left a heavy impact on his mind. Though he could have moved on after a while, this would have forever haunted him. Urasawa is goddamn genius. His writing for Monster is just out of the world. You just can't choose whether it was a good decision to operate on Johan or not. This is an underrated question that has the capability of dividing the fandom.